Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaopen.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, the weekly podcast devoted to all things spirituality and self improvement. I am so delighted you're here with me today because we have a very special guest. Today we have with us Miss Kelsey Aida. She is an energetic alignment guide, and she's written the book, The Manifesting Fix, which I have read. And you're going to love it. So, we're going to talk about that today. And we're going to talk about how she helps people with their energy when you feel like manifesting, you're just getting stuck. And I know many of you are out there going, yep, that's me. So, thank you for being with us today, Kelsey. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Melissa. I'm super excited. I've been looking forward to it.
Yes, me too, because I read a little bit of your book and I have to say that I really enjoyed it. Your writing style you're very funny. And I
Thank
was
you.
reading your book.
The highest compliment.
That's very much how my writing style is too. But when I was reading it, it reminded me of the book You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Oh
And
my gosh. Also high praise. Thank you.
yes. As I was reading it, I could totally see your personality shining through. And I was laughing out loud through parts of that. So great.
Good. That was honestly my intention with the book because I feel like so much self-help can be a little dry, a little too technical. And like when I write a book, I'm working with the consciousness of the book. Like the book to me is almost like a baby. Like it comes to me and it tells me its name and it tells me like its style and like what the cover needs to look like and what it needs to be about. And with this one, it was like, you better make me funny. I was like, okay, I'll make it funny.
And it was very funny. And I connect to that type of writing because I agree with you. I think so many of those self-help books out there can be so dry. And that work is already treacherous, having to look at your shadows and do all the things. So to have somebody put a little humor into it, I appreciated it very much. But I loved how in your book you were talking about you don't need 15 more manifesting tools because I feel like we're always getting that thrown in our face too, right? And I laughed out loud at the part where you said you're writing on the bay leaf because I might have done that a time or two. And I was like, oh yeah, that doesn't work too well. Um, but you were talking about all of those tools really are, again, just tools. The main thing that keeps us stuck and blocked is the resistance that we're feeling, which everyone always talks about that. But I feel like you did a really good job of explaining that. So can you tell us a little bit about that resistance? What do you mean by that when you're talking about that blocking us?
Yeah. So my whole thesis in my work these days and what the book, The Manifesting Fix, is about is really that the only thing standing between you and everything you want, all your goals and dreams being made manifest, is typically some sort of internal resistance. Now, people use the word resistance in different ways. So, for example, what I mean is like you want to manifest love, but a part of you is still heartbroken from last time. So, consciously, you're like, I want to meet the love of my life. I'm ready to meet my soulmate. Bring it on. I want the meet cute to happen right now. I'm ready. But then in your heart, in your soul, in the back of your psyche is a little part of you like, girl, we are not ready for that. We are barely recovered from the last relationship fiasco that happened. Like, we are not doing that. That sounds like absolute chaos, danger, don't want it, right? So it's like a part of you wants it, a part of you doesn't. And it causes like this push pull energy. Same thing with money, right? We want to manifest more money. We want to get the raise, the promotion. We want to have the dream job, whatever it is, but it's like parts of us or thoughts or limiting beliefs in our head are like, well, who am I to ask for that much money? I don't really know. Do I even need that much? I saw my friend got a bunch and then all her friends left her. Like, you just have these reservations and what I like to call the but after the goal. So it's like, I want this thing, but I'm scared. Or I want this thing, but I don't want to do what it takes to get it. I want this thing, but what if it doesn't work out? So it's like whatever but is attached to your goal, that's usually pointing you to your resistance. And resistance is not the enemy. It's not a problem. It's a part of the process, right? So if we can notice the resistance, we can easily work through it, which is obviously why I had to write a whole book because there's different types of resistance and different ways to work through it. But once you can see it for what it is, it no longer has to be a problem. It's only a problem when it's lurking in your subconscious mind, running the show, and you don't even realize that that's happening.
Yeah, and I would imagine that's probably what's going on with most people because we
Yeah.
so often our lives are so busy that our energy's all over the place. We're not focused on the here and the now and the present. We're really focused on past or future, which causes so much anxiety. That's probably where our resistance really lies is in not being fully present with ourselves and understanding what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways we can resist, and a lot of it does have to do with not being present because we're either resisting something in the future, like resisting parts of the thing that we want. So we're subconsciously like pushing it away or blocking it from coming. Or we can be resisting, stuff that happened in the past, not being accepting of our journey, our story. We can be resisting the now, which is why we want to manifest an entirely new life because we're like, I hate my reality. I don't like anything about it. I will not acknowledge it as real. Moving on. So it's like there's so many different ways we can resist, but it all boils down to that's creating enough split energy to cause at least usually a delay in the manifestation and creation process. Because if you think about it, the manifesting process is not just a journey of creation, it's also a journey of becoming the person who can have, receive, withhold, sustain that dream life that you're trying to manifest. So it's a little bit of inner work, a little bit of curiosity is required, a little bit of self compassion is required, but it's nothing too crazy that people can't start doing themselves.
Yeah, I really appreciated when you were talking about in the book that most people we manifest that cup of coffee, right? Or that quarter or whatever the initial thing they tell you when you're manifesting, start small. And so everyone's like, I can manifest a cup of coffee all day long, but I can't manifest, the love of my life or the money that I need. And I feel like I'm completely stuck in this poverty mindset. Sorry. They now are agreeing with us here today. No, I
They're
think
like,
it's
yes,
gonna
girl,
happen.
preach.
They're like, yes, exactly. This is exactly what I need. So, talk a little bit about that manifesting the small things.
Yeah. So the reason why it's so easy to manifest the small things is because you likely don't have resistance to them. Like, you don't have a lot of stories about, I don't know, parking at the store. You don't have a lot of stories about coffee being something hard to obtain, right? So it's like, yeah, these littler things seem easier to manifest because you don't have that resistance, that stuck energy going on. You're just open to receiving it because you don't have a lot of stickiness going on there, so to speak. But when it comes to love, when it comes to money, when it comes to health, when it comes to your home life, like whatever area of life it is, we have just accumulated so much baggage along the way, which is fine. The baggage is not the problem. It's just if you're not addressing that you're letting the baggage hold you back, then that's when it becomes a problem, which is why I would recommend you read The Manifesting Fix. But really, like, the resistance comes into play when we think of these bigger things that we want because we have so many stories around them, failures accumulated over time, and then we make that mean something bad about ourselves or our lives. So, yeah, the little things. Really, like in manifestation, there is no little or bigger thing to manifest, but in our heads, obviously, one thing is much bigger than another. So, that also puts a type of pressure, which can cause resistance. So,
Yeah, I think most people, we see that cup of coffee thing and then we're like, oh, I can manifest that all day long. But really, if that should be proof and showing you that if you can do that, the bigger things are possible. It's just working through it.
yeah.
So if we have people sitting out there who are listening and they think, okay, this is where I am. I can manifest those little things and I can't seem to break through or I'm not seeing progress. Or maybe they're just not happy in their everyday lives and what's going on right now. What are some small things that maybe they can start to do today to get out of that cycle of feeling stuck?
Yeah, the first thing I always encourage people to do, which I have a lot of in the book, is self inquiry. So if you ask yourself better questions, you will get some better answers. And from there, you can make some better choices and move forward in a better way. So, one of the best questions to ask yourself if you feel like you could maybe have resistance, you're feeling a little stuck, it's not happening as fast as you would like for it to happen. I love to ask myself, okay, is there any part of me that's not on board with what I think I want or what I'm saying that I want? And then you have to shut up and you have to listen and you should write it down. It's helpful to write it down. Everything that comes up. So this will be all the objections, the limiting beliefs, the stories, the narratives. Like most of your resistance, you can pull it out with just that question. And then the question becomes, okay, now I see my resistance on paper. What do I do with it? And sometimes it's just a story or belief that once you look at it, you're like, well, that's dumb. I don't want to believe that anymore. Or like, that was bestowed to me from my teacher in elementary school. Like, that's not really mine. Or I don't choose to believe that anymore. So you can just kind of like throw it in the mental garbage. That's obviously best case scenario when we can just cross things off the list. And once we bring it to our attention, we can just release it. But when it's not that simple, then there are different processes that you can do depending on what type of resistance it is. So if it's like some sort of worthiness wound where you don't feel worthy to receive that thing, or who am I to ask for this, or I haven't worked hard enough to deserve it, or whatever, it's like, okay, let's go back to the self love table. Let's cultivate a little bit of self love that will help heal that worthiness wound that you got going on. It might take a little time. It might take a little practice. That's okay because this is also a journey of becoming, and the becoming takes time. It's not just a journey of attracting and co creating. So that's one example. Another example could be if you are carrying some sort of resistance to, let's say, your emotional body, where you have to tap into certain frequencies that you've been unwilling to touch in order to like break through to that next level. That holds a lot of people back. So the remedy there is let's get comfortable with our feelings. Let's process some emotions. On the other side, you'll likely find relief and alignment. And from there, it gets easier to create what you want. So depending what type of resistance comes up, there's different practices we can do to alchemize and turn it into more alignment. But the moral of the story is just be curious and open with yourself, and don't think of resistance as the enemy and judge yourself for having it. Like, we all have resistance to things that we want. We care a lot. We make it mean all these things. Like, that's a normal part of the growth journey. So just putting it down on paper in a self-loving way of like, let me get curious of how I might be holding myself back. Let's see what's really going on under the hood here in a non-judgmental way can take you so far. Because then you can realize, okay, this is why I've been self-sabotaging. This is why I haven't been letting love in. This is why I haven't been letting money in. Let's address that. Let's work through it. Let's love the part of us that's scared to move forward towards this thing that we really want. And then we can get everyone on board and we can create full alignment so that we can move towards our dreams and our goals in a really aligned, activated way.
So as you were talking, I had like kind of an aha moment of maybe a good example of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So let's say someone is single and they've wanted to find a partner, but maybe there's a little fear there because they've been independent and been independent for so long and they like their freedom. But the relationships that have always been shown to them or modeled for them are from people where they're completely enmeshed in the relationship. And so there aren't two separate entities. There's just, you don't have your freedom. And it's like you always have to ask for permission to do things. So that was always the relationships that were modeled for you. So your resistance there is the fear that you're going to end up like those relationships. So if you had something like that, maybe a one way to start would be looking at people who model the type of relationship that you want or how you want to feel. And maybe same thing in a job too, like looking up to people that do have, seem to have it all or seem to have what they want and looking to them for, oh, well, if I have this, it doesn't have to cause me problems I've seen with other people. It can maybe allow me to have the lifestyle that I want and allow me to feel this happiness because this person has it, this person did it, they're modeling that. So maybe it's just because for many of us, what we've seen our whole lives is what we're unlearning, right? It's what we're trying to break away from, or all of these stories we told ourselves because that's what we were brought up in. And we kind of come here to unlearn those things. So maybe that is the key too, is in looking at, well, other people have what I want and they're doing really well. So maybe I just need to start looking elsewhere for my models as to how things could be.
Yeah, I think looking for a positive model is super beneficial. I think if we were in that example of I want to create a really healthy relationship that has independence, that has interdependence, but not codependence, then that's like clarity you can go into dating with to help prevent that situation from happening because you've noticed that that's what you don't want. So I think there's a lot of beauty in looking at your resistance and looking at your fear because it will give you valuable information that you can then use in an empowering way to create the life that you want, to create a relationship that is intentionally has enough independence where you feel free, but also enough interdependence where you feel like you can trust each other, you can rely on each other. So it's like, okay, in my next partnership, that's what I'm looking for. That's my criteria. That's what I want to create. Versus if that's just happening in the back of your mind and you don't even know, you're sabotaging on the second date. You're suddenly too busy to go out with this person. Someone is really nice to you and showing that they're into you. And you're just like, oh no, they're not my type, whatever. It's like instead of doing all that, we don't have to play those games. We can say, okay, I know what I'm scared of. I know what my resistance is. Here's how I can create the opposite of that and feel safe in moving towards my goal.
Yeah, and I can see how that could occur in any area of your life because we have those background tracks playing all the time. And I think most people just don't even realize it. And when you start to tap, I mean, that really is, even though people aren't going to want to hear this, you really are doing the shadow work when you're doing that. But,
Yeah.
you don't realize that that's what you're doing. But I like the way that you present it because some of the spirituality stuff, you just want to put your head down and cry and be like, I quit before you even get started because it's so
Yeah.
heavy. You're like, oh my gosh, they're telling you you're unraveling layers from generational trauma. It's generation and generation, and it just feels overwhelming before you even get
Yeah.
started. But the way that you have laid it out, and especially in your book, it's like easy bite-sized pieces. So someone doesn't feel like they're choking on something right away because they're having to swallow all of this right at the beginning. It's like you've just given them little nuggets of information that you just keep building on. And so it makes it digestible. It makes it easy and you don't feel overwhelmed all at the same time. So I do appreciate that you've done that in your book. Can you talk to us a little bit about if someone were to pick up a copy of the Manifesting Fix, what could they expect to read about?
Yeah. They can expect to read about themselves and how they've been keeping themselves stuck in a funny, loving, called out way. Like you probably feel a little called out by some of the examples. You probably can relate to some of the stories I've written and shared from my own life or clients or whatever. But it all comes from a fun place of love to help you live your best life because we need to look at the dysfunction in order to create more function. We don't need to look at it to stay there and dwell and judge ourselves for it. No, we're just bringing it to the forefront of our attention so we can do something about it. That's literally all that shadow work is. Is it a shadow work book? Basically, do I call it that? No, because that sounds scary. Shadow work sounds like, oh my God, my shadows, I'm gonna bring all my shadows out of the closet. It's like literally shadow work is just making the unseen seen. It's making your unconscious conscious. And then from there, you can have authority and agency and choose. Do I still want to practice this narrative? Do I still want to believe this belief? Do I still want to sabotage in this way? Probably not. So then each chapter in the Manifesting Fix has a fix based on what type of resistance you notice coming up to help you work through that, to untangle it, to love yourself through the fear, to do it anyway, to make yourself feel more safe to move towards the goal. Because a lot of this is like a creating safety game. Most resistance comes down to like not feeling safe to experience the change or call in the thing or become someone new, you know? So it's like normalizing that experience so you just get better at up leveling, and up leveling. And people who are the most successful in life, I've noticed that they are masters of their resistance. It's not that they don't have resistance, it's not that they don't have fear or imposter syndrome or self sabotage. It's that they know what to do with it once they notice it coming up, and they know to look for it too, because if you don't know to look for it, then you can't work with it. So
Yeah.
it's all about getting curious, looking for it. Once you discover it, oh, okay, cool. This is super valuable information. Let's work through it. And then on the other side, you can come to a place of alignment. Because I like to look at it as like a spectrum.
Yeah.
On one end of the stick, you got resistance. On the other end, you have alignment. On any given topic that you want to manifest, you're either closer to this side, somewhere in the middle, right? We want to move towards the alignment. We want to get away from the resistance, not in a way where we're resisting our resistance again, because that's not helpful, but working through it, working with it to be like, okay, now I feel safer to move forward. Now I feel excited to go on that date. Now I feel really worthy to ask for that raise. That's the shift that I want to take people to with the book in a very, like you said, tangible, fun, not overwhelming way.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like in my life, wherever I've felt the most resistance and fear is where I've always known I have to go. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that terrifies me. Well, I that's telling me I
Yeah.
need to try that. I need to, and I think you've made a good point. Everyone has fear, everyone has resistance. And the people who are successful, as you said, have just learned how to recognize that. And there's so many tools that you can use. And I know that you talk about those tools in your book, but the things that you can do when you start to feel that. And what's great about it is you might start reading the book because you think, I want to manifest money. And that was your main goal for reading the book. But you may discover how to recognize the resistance from anywhere in any topic in your life, any area. And this is going to give people kind of like a roadmap for when it comes up, because it will, because you're going to read the
Yeah.
book and you're going to go on, and then something else is going to happen in your life, and you're going to go, oh, I feel stuck. I feel resistance here. It's like you're helping them to recognize when they come upon it, the resistance, and then giving them tools for how to work through it. So this is like a lifelong tool that somebody could use.
Yeah, that's exactly the intention I had with the book, and I even write at the very end, like, "Come back to this book when you find some new resistance," which you will, when you have a new goal, when you have a bigger desire, like, I often think alluding to what you said, like, a lot of times the resistance is the way. Like, that is our path, our calling, and of course, if you're creating something big or something that's gonna last or something impactful, you're probably going to have some resistance to that. Like the bigger the goal and the dream, probably the more resistance you're going to experience to it. So that's why it's so important to know what to do when that resistance comes up so you don't just let it run your life. Instead, you can be running your life and putting the resistance in the back seat, demoting your fear to passenger princess and being like, okay, I'm in charge. This is what we're doing. It's safe to move forward. This is why it's going to be great. And if it's not, here's our backup plan and it's all good. That's the attitude that I want people to have and take away from the book is like, okay, I'm not afraid of how I've been effing up my life. I'm going to look at it in the face and I'm going to make some changes and my life will be so much better.
Yeah, I love everything about what you're doing because I feel like there's so many people sitting out there listening who, and I know my own personal, audience members, people that I personally have reached out to me that I worked with, and that is where a lot of them struggle is in this resistance and not recognizing exactly where it is or how to work on that. And I'm the same way, right? Like I'm just like everybody else. I have resistance all the time too. It takes a lot of courage to identify that, hey, you know what, this is what I want, but I know I'm afraid of it, or I know there's some
Yeah.
sort of underlying fear that's keeping me stuck here.
Yeah. And the way that I think about this work is like, did you ever watch The Secret?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so a lot of people are familiar with The Secret because that's how they got into manifesting, like 10 or
Right.
20 years ago, whenever it was, right? They're like, "Oh my god, I can just think my way to a better reality. This is amazing. I just have to think better thoughts and I can visualize my dream house and it'll happen." And it's like, yes, you do ask and then receive, but there's nuance that was conveniently left out to make the message more sexy, obviously.
Yeah.
And the nuance is that in between the asking and the receiving, there is the sub step of aligning. So you have to align with the goal, not just visualize it in order for it to actually land in your reality. And visualizing it does help you align with it, does help you attune to the frequency of it. But if you have enough resistance going on, like no amount of manifesting methods is going to make it happen. You don't need a new or a different way to manifest it. You need to become more aligned with it. You need to become more energetically attuned to the frequency of that thing, which is where a less resistant life comes into play and helps you become a more allowing person. So I like to think of this work as like the missing secret to the secret. Like, okay, we learned manifesting 101, like how to manifest. Now this is like manifesting 202, like where am I going wrong? Why am I getting stuck? How do I actually align with those goals and not just visualize them, affirm them, write about them, but really be about them? That's the difference. So I love it because it's like building on what we know, what's mainstream, but taking it a little deeper in what you said, like an approachable way. Because this type of work, if it's presented in a certain fashion can definitely be overwhelming, can definitely make you feel bad about yourself, can just create even more problems, right? Which we're not trying to do here. It's just like a practice of, okay, maybe I'm a little stuck, maybe I'm feeling a little blocked. Let's notice, let's work through that, let's love ourselves through it, and then we can come out the other side more aligned with the goals.
Yeah, and I love that too. Now, I was wondering, would you mind if I pull a card really quickly?
Yeah, I love cards.
Okay, so I'm using Angela Rose's deck, which was gifted to me by Ginger, one of my listeners, and I love this deck. But I feel called to pull something because these are what I love about these are they are things that you can they give you things you can work on, and I feel like so the two things you can't make this up that come out as you're working on things. It says you are whole. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken, crazy, or unworthy. You are whole. You're here to remember your divinity and to connect to your highest self. Look yourself in the mirror, place your hand on your heart, and say to yourself, I love you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. And then there's a mantra that goes with this card that you can say to yourself, which is, I love me. I am whole. I am worthy. I am lovable. I am safe. And I don't know if you can really see the cards, but the cards are really pretty. And the next one is, I am also. So I feel like the message today that maybe is coming out is that whoever there's a collective out there listening to this message who isn't feeling worthy or whole. And part of that is our manifesting block. If we don't feel like we're worthy of the things that we want. But this says, I am the dark, the light, the silence, the noise, the sky, the earth, the moon, the sun, the joy, the pain. You're all of it, which makes you whole. Write yourself a love letter. It doesn't have to be super long or mushy. It can even just be a bullet point list. But what is most important is you seeing how much love you have for yourself now. And this is one of my favorite mantras of just saying, I am, and filling it up with all the beautiful things that you are and that you know and that you love about yourself. I think that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, that's a perfect message that's totally aligned with this work in the book is like a lot of people make it mean when their dream life isn't happening or, something's not working out the way they want it to, that there's something wrong with them, right? Like if I was better, God would bless me more. If I was more worthy, like the universe would give it up. What's going on? So we make it mean bad things about ourselves, but it's like, no, 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 honey bun. There's nothing wrong with you. We just need to shift the approach. You just have been like efforting your way and forcing your way through these goals because you didn't know how to look at your resistance and then align with them. So that's what I love to help people with. And yeah, the I am card, very relevant because you are whatever you say you are,
Exactly.
truthfully.
Yeah. And that's what we need to start shifting and working on. And I love when you talk about the resistance, about being so much effort and work, because it's true. It's amazing. Like when you try to, like, when you're in more of a flow state, which I always talk about that too, and I've done podcast episodes about that, things are just so much easier. And when I get in my own head and I try to like do everything myself, and it's such a struggle. And it's amazing how much that's true. When we get out of our own way, things get a lot easier. But again, it's all about finding that resistance. So thank you so much for this work that you do. If there's anybody out there who would like to work with you, or maybe they would like to just grab a copy of the Manifesting Fix, which I highly recommend because, like I said, I was laughing so hard. I laughed out loud at a couple of things, and I did feel called out, but in a good way. I was laughing about it. So
Yeah.
what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so to purchase a copy of the Manifesting Fix, it's already out for pre-sale. It's coming out December 1st, but you can order it wherever you get your books from, a local place, Barnes& and Noble, Amazon, like just Google Manifesting Fix Kelsey Aida and it should come up. I will be releasing soon some pre-order bonuses on my website, kelseyaida.com. That is soon to come, so check back in there later so you can collect your bonuses once you've pre-ordered. Those will be really fun, juicy. I'm thinking like a guided meditation, maybe a worksheet, maybe like some fun things for starting conversations around the book if you're in a book club or you want to talk about it with your girlfriends or like have accountability buddies or whatever. So that's where you can find the book. And then as far as working with me, kelseyyaida.com, I have coaching offerings, I have a radical self-love course, I have money manifesting courses, just self-guided stuff or live stuff to help you live your best life and align with your goals, because I believe that I want everyone to be really resourced, really nourished, really abundant, love themselves, love their life, have a lot of fun creating a really juicy life. So that's why I do this work that I do.
Well, I want to thank you so much for the work that you do and for being here with us today. This was such a fun conversation. I want to thank all of you for being here with us today, too. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And of course, the best compliment you can pay me is to share this podcast with anyone you think might benefit. Thank you so much, Kelsey, for being here and for sharing all of your wisdom.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. We're sending you so much love and light, and we will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.